أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. Lesson number 66, Surah An-Nisa. يسألك أهل الكتاب أن تنزل عليهم كتابا من السماء. The people of the scripture ask you to bring down to them a book from the sky. يسألك. What's the plural of يسألك? يسألونك. Remember in Surah Al-Baqarah we read that word many times. So يسألونك, they ask you. يسألك, he asks you. Who asks you? Ahlul Kitab, the people of the book. And who does you refer to? The Prophet ﷺ. Who does the Ahlul Kitab include? The Jews as well as the Christians. However, in the context, Ahlul Kitab only refers to the Jews. Why? Because they were the ones who were present in Medina. They were the ones who were present in Medina. So, يَسْأَلُكَ أَهْلُ الْكِتَابِ, the Jews, the people of the book, they ask you, أَن تُنَزِّلَ, that you should bring down. You should cause to come down. عَلَيْهِمْ, upon them, كِتَابًا مِنَ السَّمَاءِ, a book from the sky. The word تُنَزِّلَ is from the root letters Nun, Zai, Lam. And نَزَّلَ يُنَزِّلُ تَنزِيل. What does it mean? Nazzala, he sent down. So tanzeel is to bring something down. And it's used for revelation. But remember that nazzala, there is another word as well, anzala. What does nazzala mean? To gradually bring down, to gradually send down. So it gives a sense of bringing down in stages. Why would you bring something down in stages? Why? It's easier to take. Why else? If you give something to someone all at once, they might not value it. But if you give one thing after the other, then what's going to happen? They're going to value it more. Right? So it shows the importance of what is being sent down, what is being given. So, what is gradually sent down? Something that is very important. And remember that this form, nazzala, it also gives a sense of shiddah. That to do an action with a lot of shiddah, like with a lot of severity, intensity. And this word has been used over here that you should bring down upon them. It doesn't mean that you should gradually bring down upon them, but what it means is that you should just bring it down upon them, that they demand with so much persistence. They demand with so much confidence and with so much arrogance, with so much pride, that you should definitely bring it down upon them. What should you bring down upon them? A book from the sky. What does it mean by the word kitab? The word kitab, as you know, is used for a book, but it also applies to a document, meaning something that is written, maktub. Something that is written, maktub. So kitaba min as-sama' has been understood as, first of all, a book that is other than the Qur'an. A book that is other than the Qur'an. And this book, it mentions the truthfulness of the Prophet ﷺ. And it's a written document. Because the Qur'an was not being revealed in written form. And the book that the Ahlul Kitab were given, the Jews especially were given, the Torah, that was written. It was inscribed. So they said, we want a similar book that is inscribed, other than the Qur'an, and it mentions your truthfulness. Bring it down from the sky for us, as an evidence. Others have said that kitabun over here gives a sense of a letter. That you should go up to the sky and bring down from the sky letters that are addressed to our leaders. Meaning this is a letter from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That, oh, so-and-so, yes, Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam is indeed the messenger. So basically, we should be sent divine letters. That really you are the messenger. Now what is this? We learned that the leaders of the Jews in Medina, they demanded from the Prophet ﷺ that a book be revealed to them, that a book be sent down to them, specifically informing them that he is a messenger. Specifically informing them that he is a messenger, instructing them that they must believe in him. And this book should be written, or this document should be written, just as Musa a.s. was given the alwah. So, يَسْأَلُكَ أَهْلُ الْكِتَابِ أَن تُنَزِّلَ عَلَيْهِمْ كِتَابًا مِنَ السَّمَاءِ. Now this was something very serious. I mean, they're demanding this, And if the Prophet ﷺ is really a true prophet, then he should bring something like that. If you think of it, if he's really a true prophet, then something like this should happen. And this is exactly why they asked him, to see whether or not he was actually a messenger. So this demand, what does Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala say in response? فَقَدْ سَأَلُوا مُوسَى أَكْبَرَ مِنْ ذَلِكَ. Then in fact, they asked Musa alayhi salam something much greater than that. What does it mean by this? فَقَدْ سَأَلُوا. First of all, that if you consider this shocking, if you consider this to be very surprising, very amazing, a very serious sin on their part, that they're asking you to bring, divine letters from the sky for them, telling them that really you are the messenger, you think that this is a big deal? No. What happened at the time of Musa alayhi salam is much more serious. They're only asking you to bring a letter. What they asked Musa alayhi salam was that we're not going to believe in you until we see Allah. That's what they said. So it kind of gives a sense that don't take these people seriously. Don't take these people seriously. There's no need to fulfill every request of theirs. That they're demanding miracles? No, you're not going to show one miracle after the other just so that these people are going to believe. No, they didn't believe then, they're not going to believe now. فَقَدْ سَأَلُوا مُوسَى أَكْبَرَ مِنْ ذَلِكَ. They asked Musa alayhi salam something much greater than that. And what is it that they asked him? فَقَالُوا. So they said, أَرِنَا اللَّهَ جَهْرَةً. Show us Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala openly. See the word jahra? We learned the word jahr earlier. What is jahr? An action or a word that is said openly. So what does it mean by jahra over here? That He should become visible to us. Allah should become visible to us. He should show Himself to us openly, publicly. Arina, show us. And look at the way they're asking, Arina, you show us. Like, who are you that you want to see Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? And we learned earlier in Surah Al-Baqarah that when Musa alayhi salam, he was receiving the commandments on the Mount Sinai, or when he was given the book to take to the Bani Israel, what did they say? That we're not going to believe that these alwah, these tablets that you have brought are really from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala until you show Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to us. That you have to show Him to us. And we also learned, another opinion is that some of those people, they were taken to the Mount Sinai to listen to the conversation between Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and Musa alayhi salam. And even despite listening, what did they say? That we don't believe until and unless we see Allah. Just imagine. Arina Allah jahratan. Show us Allah clearly, openly. What happened? فَأَخَذَتْهُمُ الصَّاعِقَةُ. Then the thunderbolt struck them. What is a sa'iqah? A bolt of lightning, a thunderbolt. Remember that sa'iqah literally is the loud blasting sound in the sky. Just like a blast, a very loud noise in the sky. Sometimes this blast is accompanied with lightning. Sa'iqah is what? In itself, it's only the blast. It's only the sound. Sometimes the sound is accompanied by lightning, which causes fire, destruction. And sometimes it also causes death. So basically, this sound is a cause of death sometimes, and sometimes it is a way of punishment. This is why the word sa'iqah is not just used for the sound, for the blast, but it is also used for fire. It is also used for punishment. It is also used for a thunderbolt. But primarily, what does it mean? What's the actual meaning of the word? Just the blast. But because the blast never comes alone, there's always something with it. This is why those things are also called sa'iqah. So over here, فَأَخَذَتْهُمُ الصَّاعِقَةُ. What does it mean? Over here it means death. That death seized them. As a result of what? As a result of the blast and the thunderbolt. Why? بِظُلْمِهِمْ. Because of their injustice. What was their injustice? What was their injustice? That أَرِنَا اللَّهَ جَارَةً. Show Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala openly to us. Now this demand was not out of love. Like for example, Musa alayhi salam also said, "Oh Allah, show yourself to me, I wish to see you." But he was not struck in the form of punishment. He was not punished. However, the Bani Israel, they were punished. Why? Because Musa a.s. asked out of love, and Bani Israel asked out of arrogance, out of kufr. So بِظُلْمِهِمْ, because of their injustice. ثُمَّ اتَّخَذُوا الْعِجْلَ, then they took the calf. For what? For worship. They made it as a god. مِن بَعْدِ مَا جَاءَتْهُمُ الْبَيِّنَاتِ, after the clear signs had come to them. Over here you see the word ثُمَّ. What does ثُمَّ mean? ثُمَّ is used in several ways. First of all, it gives a sense of then, after some time. It shows the sequence of events. This happened and then that happened. And sometimes the word ثُمَّ does not necessarily indicate the sequence of events, but rather it indicates the seriousness of what is being mentioned after, of what is being mentioned next. So ثُمَّ gives a sense of then, moreover, worse than that is that such and such happened. Because if you look at it, what actually happened? The Bani Israel, they crossed the sea with Musa a.s. Correct? Now they were safe in the desert. Musa a.s. went to Mount Sinai to get the Torah. Behind him, what happened? The Bani Israel took the calf for worship. Musa a.s. came back and he was so angry that he threw the alwah. Remember? He threw the alwah. He was so angry because of what they had done. Then the punishment was carried out on those people who took the calf for worship. Then, when Musa a.s. showed the alwah to them, they said, we're not going to believe until we know that it's really from Allah. Then a group of 70 men were taken by Musa a.s. to Mount Sinai. Over there, those 70 men asked that we want to see Allah. So if you think of it, the event that is mentioned first actually occurred afterwards. They took the calf for worship first, and then they demanded that they should see Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So the sequence of events is the opposite. But over here it's mentioned the other way. Why? Summa does not mean then, after that. But what it means is worse than that. Worse than that. I mean, you think this is bad? This is worse. This is also what they did. So they asked that they want to see Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and they also took the calf for worship despite the fact that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala had saved them. So the calf could have been mentioned first, but it wasn't mentioned first. Why? Why? Because Summa shows that you think that is worse, this is worse. You think that is bad, this is much more bad. So what does it show? How evil their crimes were. فَعَفَوْنَا عَنْ ذَلِكَ, then we pardoned them from that. We pardoned from that. From what? From their taking their ijl for worship despite their knowing better. They knew that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the one who saved them, but yet they took the calf for worship, but Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala yet He forgave them. فَعَفَوْنَا عَنْ ذَلِكَ, then we pardoned from that. Being despite the sin of these people, still we forgave them. وَآتَيْنَا مُوسَى سُلْطَانًا مُبِينًا, and we gave Musa a.s. a clear evidence, a clear authority. What does it mean by sultan? Sultan means authority. Basically, the word saluta means to dominate. It gives a sense of having power, having a lot of strength. So the word sultan is used for authority, because the one who has authority, he dominates over others. The word sultan is also used for strength, because with strength you dominate. And the word sultan is also used for an evidence, a proof, an argument. What kind of evidence? Such an evidence, such a proof that dominates the other, meaning that makes a person victorious. So the word sultan has several meanings. So Musa a.s. was given by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sultana mubina. What does it mean by that? First of all, authority. He was given clear authority. If you look at it, what was the punishment for those people who worshipped the calf? Capital punishment, right? They were supposed to be killed. فَقُتُلُوا أَنفُسَكُمْ, kill yourselves or kill those people who worship the calf. I mean, that's a very serious punishment. They're saying to Musa a.s., we're not going to believe in you until such and such happens. And Musa a.s. tells them, kill yourself, this is a command from Allah. And they actually do it. Do you see what I'm trying to say? That Musa a.s. tells them, believe. They say, we're not going to believe until such and such happens. But when Musa a.s. tells them, this is the punishment, they cannot resist him. Do you understand? They cannot resist him. So, Musa a.s. had this authority that when he would tell people something, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala had given him this sultan that many times people, they couldn't say anything to him. I mean, he was telling them something very serious, kill yourself. And they actually did that. So we gave to Musa a.s. Sultan Mubina. This was authority, firmness, awe. And if he didn't have this, it wasn't easy for him to deal with these people. What do we learn from this ayah? First of all, we learn that if you look at the context, if you think of it, all of these incidents, they are mentioned elsewhere in the Quran in much more detail. We read about them in Surah Al-Baqarah. Some of them are mentioned in Surah Taha. I mean, all over the Quran, these incidents are mentioned. Over here, they're only being referred to. Why are they being referred to? Because the Prophet ﷺ is being consoled. That the people demanded from him, bring us a miracle. Show us a miracle. If you show it to us, then we will believe. But he is being reassured that no matter how many miracles you show to these people, if they don't want to believe, they're not going to believe. Look at what happened before. Look at what happened before. The sea has parted in front of you. You crossed the sea. Aren't you sure that Allah is the one who saved you? Despite that, you're thinking that a calf is worthy of your worship? So, in this ayah, there is comfort for the da'i, for the one who calls other people to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that when he faces challenges, and he thinks that what he is going through is very serious, that it's impossible for him to continue, and what he is going through is something that is unbearable, he should remember the du'at before him. Those people who invited people to worship of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala before him, the prophets of Allah before him. And he will definitely see that those before him faced challenges that were much worse. Because sometimes, when somebody asks you something, when somebody makes a demand from you, you're like, you're speechless, you don't know what to say. And you think that that's it, this is so serious. You can't go on. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala reassures us over here that, what you're going through, yes, you may think it's very difficult, but remember those people before you, they faced many more challenges. Look at what Musa a.s. went through. It was much more difficult for him. We also learn from this ayah that when people demand miracles, then they're not serious. They're not serious in their search of guidance. They're not actually demanding the miracles so that they can believe. And sometimes what happens? There was this friend of mine, one of her relatives became an atheist. And she was trying to prove to her that there is no God. And she's like, if there is God, then all of these lights should turn off immediately. If there is God. I mean, who are you to order the creator of the heavens and the earth like that, if you really exist, then you show me by switching off all of these lights. I mean, this is ridiculous. If a person does that, what does it show? He's not serious. He doesn't want to believe. Because if he wants to believe, then he will see the sun and the moon, other lights. So when a person is demanding miracles, when a person is demanding that the whole world around them should change just to prove to them that God exists, then don't give any importance to them. Because the people before, like the Bani Israel, they demanded so many miracles. So many things. So many things were shown to them. But still they disbelieved. What does it show? That true change comes from within a person. It comes from within a person. It comes from realization. It doesn't come from seeing miracles. وَرَفَعْنَا فَوْقَهُمُ الطُّورَ بِمِيثَاقِهِمْ And we raised over them the mount. Which mount? The Mount Tur. Why? بِمِيثَاقِهِمْ Because of their covenant. What does it mean by this? Because of their covenant. This has been understood in two ways. First of all, because of their refusal of the covenant. Remember we learned earlier that the Bani Israel, they were told to accept the commands that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala was giving them. And they refused. And what happened? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala lifted up the Mount Tur and it was suspended over their heads that accept this, take this, believe, otherwise you're finished now. That's it. We didn't save you for no reason. You were saved from the slavery of Fir'aun. The whole sea was parted for you. You were saved. Why? Just so that you live a comfortable life? No. You have been chosen to deliver the message of Allah to other people. So accept this responsibility, take this charge. And when they refused, then the Mount Tur was raised over them. We learn in Surah Al-A'raf, ayah 171, وَإِذْ نَتَقْنَا الْجَبَلَ فَوْقَهُمْ كَأَنَّهُ ظُلَّةٌ وَظَنُّوا أَنَّهُ وَاقِعٌ بِهِمْ خُذُوا مَا آتَيْنَاكُمْ بِقُوَّةٍ وَاذْكُرُوا مَا فِيهِ لَعَلَّكُمْ تَتَّقُونَ. And mention when we raised the mountain above them as if it was a dark cloud, and they were certain that it would fall upon them. And Allah said, take what we have given you with determination and remember what is in it that you might fear Allah. So, the Mount Tur was raised above them. Why? Because of their refusal of taking the covenant. Secondly, they said, بِمِيثَاقِهِمْ, what this means is, so that they would fear and accept the covenant. The mount was raised above them. Why? So that they would fear and accept the covenant. What's the first meaning? Because of their refusal to accept. Secondly, so that they would accept. وَقُلْنَا لَهُمْ, and we said to them, أُدْخُلُوا الْبَابَ سُجَّدًا, enter through the door. How? Prostrating. Meaning when you enter the city, the Baytul Maqdis, then how should you enter? While prostrating to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But what did they do? What did they do? Did they enter with humility? No. They were told to say hitta. What did they say? Hinta. وَقُلْنَا لَهُمْ, and afterwards we said to them, لَا تَعْدُوا فِي السَّبْتِ, do not exceed concerning the Sabbath. Do not transgress concerning the Sabbath. When the Bani Israel were saved from Fir'aun, as we know that they remained in the desert for 40 years. And after the death of Musa a.s., eventually what happened? Under the leadership of Yusha bin Nun, they entered the Baytul Maqdis, Jerusalem. And much later, what happened? The Bani Israel, they had their own kingdom, they had their own government, they had a lot of power, they had a lot of authority, and they were living peacefully. Now, what happened? The Bani Israel, they were told that with regards to the Sabbath, the Saturday, you're only going to do ibadah of Allah. Nothing else but that. You're only going to worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, nothing else but that. And as we have learned about their story, about the people who lived by the sea, and they used to catch fish. They were fishermen. And what did they do? That on Friday night, they would put the net in. Saturday, they wouldn't touch it. Sunday, they would take the net out. And as a result, they would actually catch fish on Saturday while not really fishing. They weren't really fishing, but they would also catch fish. But they were told very clearly that لَا تَعْدُوا فِي السَّبْتِ, do not transgress with regards to the Sabbath. Meaning whatever rules you have been given concerning the Sabbath, follow them strictly. Don't abuse them in any way. But what did they do? They didn't respect. They transgressed the hurma, the sanctity of the Sabbath. How? By catching fish. وَأَخَذْنَا مِنْهُمْ, and we took from them مِيثَاقًا غَلِيظًا, a very strong covenant, a solemn oath. About what? About the Sabbath. But what did they do? They broke it. The word غَلِيظ is from the root letters غَين, لام, ظا, and the word غِلظة is used for the thickness, the hardness of something. When something is very hard and also very thick. When something is solid, it's tough. And then it's used for the sacredness of something. That when something is very sacred, it's inviolable, you cannot disrespect it, you have to sanctify it. So, مِيثَاقًا غَلِيظًا is a covenant that is very firm and a covenant that is inviolable, meaning you cannot go against it. So they had a very solemn oath, a very solemn promise that they had made with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Yet what did they do? They went against the promise. And this is a practical example of hypocrisy. In the previous ayat, we learned about nifaq. What does hypocrisy include? That when a person makes a promise, he breaks it. He breaks it. When he's given an amana, he does khiyana. So we see that so many covenants were taken from the children of Israel, from the Bani Israel. But what did they do? They broke them. They went against them. We also learned from this ayah about the obligation of fulfilling promises. the obligation of fulfilling promises. Because so many times mithaq has been mentioned. What does that show? Ghalidh has been mentioned. Why? What does that show? About the necessity, the obligation of fulfilling promises. Many times what happens that when people are in good times, they tend to forget and ignore the responsibilities that have been laid upon them. They had a mithaqun ghalidha, everything is fine. They're told, la ta'adu fi sabt, but because everything is fine, they're like, no, we want to fish. We also want fish on Saturday. We can't suffer a loss even of one day. And many times we do this, that when we're in good times, when everything is fine, we indulge so much in fulfilling our desires that we forget about the responsibilities that have been laid upon us. Just think about it. Sometimes on the weekend, we're so happy, one thing after the other. Sunday night, we realize we haven't even opened our juz. Doesn't it happen? It's a responsibility upon us. We have to do our lesson 7 times. But there's a party, there's a dinner, or there's a day off, doesn't matter. We forget. It's very important for us to fulfill the obligations that have been laid upon us. We also learn from this ayah about the obligation of being humble when a person receives some blessings. Where do we learn that from? Udkhulul baba sujjada. That you're being given such a huge blessing. Don't be arrogant, but be humble.